Welcome to Born to be a Sports Agent, where I deliver legal and contract insight for sports professionals navigating hiring, firing, injury, and representation. Hi, this is Jill Baxter with Born to be a Sports Agent, and we're recording from McGeorge School of Law, and we have Mark Levin here and the Tiger Law Group. So go ahead, guys.
Hey, Mark. Thanks. I'm Angus Nelson. We have Jimmy Gallardi, Alex Samuel, and Isaiah Usan, and we are Tiger Sports Group. And so, Mark, we just want to do a brief introduction and then just get into questions right away. I was the one you were texting with. Just want to thank you again for meeting with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Happy to do it.
Yeah, thank you. So we are excited, just to introduce you, Mark, and please let me know if I'm wrong about any of this, but we are excited to introduce Mark Levin. Again, I'm Angus, Isaiah, Jimmy, and Alex. Mark is the co-founder of Pro Football Consulting, where he advises NFL agents and players on salary cap rules, contract value, and CBA provisions, and prepares applicants for NFLPA Agent certification exam, which we know is a big thing coming up, as well as I'm sure a lot of other things is in your job title. But you previously spent over 20 years at the NFL Players Association as Director of Salary Cap and Agent Administration, following earlier roles with the NFLPA and the Washington Redskins, or the Commanders, maybe. Thank you for joining us today again, Mark. We want to get into questions, but feel free at any time to stop us and let us know if you want to leeway anything else. If you have any questions for us.
No, go ahead, fire away.
Okay, great. So just starting off, based on your many years, the NFLPA, the Players Association, what does player advocacy actually look like in practice, especially around contracts and the salary cap? So, we talk a lot about it in Professor Baxter's class, but just as someone with so much experience, what does it actually look like in practice on a day-to-day basis, or just overall big picture?
Do you mean from the agent's perspective or from the union's perspective?
So I guess that's a great question. So since you've been with the union so
Why
long,
don't you do union, Mark?
yeah, let's just your experience
Right.
with that. So with the union.
Well, I mean the Players Association and all the professional sports have players associations, or all the major professional sports, and even some minor professional sports. And they perform typical union activities just like um, coal miners, truckers, auto workers, teachers, nurses, whatever, other unions are out there that are not professional sports related. The major difference with the NFLPA is they allow individual contract negotiations for their members, as opposed to most unions, which negotiate the wages for all their members and benefits. The PA negotiates with the owners, benefits, working conditions, hours, minimum salary wages, and then that's where the agents come in to negotiate contracts over and above the minimum. If they're fortunate enough to have a client that has the leverage to get over and above the minimum. So the Players Association's role is to protect the rights that that the Players Association, the union, has won over the years through collective bargaining agreement against the owners. Um, and that's their major function, is to enforce the rules of the CBA, protect players' rights, and to collectively negotiate hours, wages, and working conditions. Obviously, it goes deeper than that. The Players Association advocates for players before their careers start and after their careers are over, in addition to during the player's career. There's plenty of post-retirement benefits, post-retirement programs. There's a lot of introductory to the information that the PA gives out to players in college through a program that they used to have. I don't know if they still have it, called the Business of Football. They also talk to the players at the Combine, at the Senior Bowl, and various other all-star games to help at least prepare to some extent, the players for making that transition from college to the pros and to um, introduce the player to the Players Association because most of them have no idea what they're getting into, have no idea what the
Mhm.
PA is. All they know is the NFL Shield. And a lot of them confuse the NFL Shield with just encompassing everything in the NFL, and they have no idea there's a union representing them when they get to that, when they become members of the bargaining unit. Um, so in my mind, that's what really, from the union's perspective, player advocacy is all about. It's putting players first. It's protecting the players. It's advocating for them because the teams are always trying to screw them. Um,
That's an understatement. Yeah.
what was that, Jill?
That's an understatement. Of course, they're always trying to screw them.
Yeah. Well, we're being taped, so I didn't trying to be careful what I say here. Um, uh, so I don't know if that I think that should answer your question well enough, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, thanks, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. What's next?
Hey Mark, Isaiah here. I have a question. So, in your experience, has there been like a specific time or a specific event where uh, it has shaped the way you advise agents and players through pro football consulting?
Well, it shaped the way I dealt with agents before I left the PA and started my own company. And that was when I left the PA. So I was working in the well, they didn't call it the sauerkraut department back then. They called it the research department. If Joe remembers, that was headed up by a guy named Mike Duberstein. And
Yep. Yes.
I was Mike's assistant director of the department. It was called the research department. And that's when I first started working with agents in terms of helping them with contract negotiations. So I did that for about 7 or 8 years and then got the opportunity to go work for I'm going to call them the Redskins. I hope I don't offend anybody. I'm going to call them the Redskins because that's basically what I still call them anyway. I got the opportunity to go to work for the Redskins. So I was on the other side of the negotiating table. I was now advocating on behalf of one individual club instead of, 1,000 agents and 2,000 players. So that gave me a completely different perspective. And many times when I was involved in a negotiation talking to an agent, I found that the agents a lot of time were ill prepared. They were ill prepared for the contract negotiation. They didn't have a strong argument that on behalf of their client as to why they were asking for X amount of dollars. And that gave me a little bit of a perspective that I didn't really see from my chair at the Players Association because I would talk to the agent, but I have no idea how the agent was approaching the conversation with the NFL club that he or she was dealing with. I was always hearing, only the agent's side of things. So it showed me that um, the PA needed to do a better job on preparing the agents for the actual negotiation. The other thing it showed is that working for the other side, you can't just go in and willy-nilly ask for the sky if you're the agent. You know, you have to be reasonable, right? The end game is to get a deal done. That's the end game for both sides most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. And you can't just go in saying, "Well, I deserve X," or "My client deserves X." You have to have an argument based in fact, based on statistics, based on comparables, and you can't just say, "Well, you know what? I think my guy deserves 5 million," right? So I think in learning that side of the negotiation from the team's perspective, seeing how some agents, not all, many agents came in completely prepared. This is very few, but some of the ones that came in ill prepared were very well-known agents at the time that I was really shocked that they
Mm.
were approaching the negotiation in that manner. Um, so I think that gave me, so when I came back to the PA after working 2 years at the Redskins, I came back as the head of the salary cap department in the fall of 2002. That gave me a better insight on how to talk to the agents, how to educate them better on how to approach the negotiation with the club, and not just with the Redskins, but with any club. Because the negotiation is really a negotiation. I mean, every team has their style and their particulars, as do the agents. But at the end of the day, you know, it's really all about leverage. And I think seeing the other side of the table gave me a better perspective on leverage in a certain situation, on being prepared for a negotiation, and certainly, hopefully, helping the agent reach that end goal of getting a deal done.
So I'm gonna ask you a follow-up question, Mark. Number one, did you replace Duberstein or is
Well, yeah. So okay, this is what happened. So
okay,
when
this
I
I'm now
left,
asking a personal question.
no, that's okay. When I left the PA to go to
Uh,
work for the Redskins, they created the salary cap department and left Mike as the head of research. So they kind of honestly put kind of Mike on an island a little bit because he was getting ready to retire anyway in a
uh,
year or two. So they created a salary cap department that had not ever been formed before and combined it with agent administration. All of it used to be done either by the legal department or by the research department. So they made this combined salary cap and agent administration department. They hired a guy to to head up that department, a guy named Joe Nara, who was
uh,
working for IMG
right.
later to be CAA at the time. And Joe was an attorney. So after I made the decision to leave the Redskins, I had a conversation with Gene Upshaw, who was the executive director of the Players Association at the time, who I remained on very, very good terms with when I left. And I said, Gene, whatever you can do to get me to come back, I need to come back because working at the Redskins was not fun.
Oh, it wasn't fun.
It was not fun.
Who was the owner at the time?
Dan Snyder.
Oh, okay, yeah, Charmer. Okay, I understand why. Okay,
Um,
I know more.
so uh, when because Joe was an attorney, the guy that headed up the salary cap department, they moved him up into the legal department so he could actually use more of his legal training than he was using as the head of the salary cap department. And then I came in and I replaced Joe.
Got it.
That's how that all worked.
Okay, just curious. Okay, next question. Sorry, guys.
It's
So
okay.
Mark, you talked about preparing agents for just negotiations and stuff. Can you talk about kind of the common misunderstandings that agents would have about the agent certification process, and not just that, but also being an agent after they pass that exam?
Yeah, so I think um, the biggest misconception about the process is that they're going to pass the test, right?
Oh, got it. Yeah.
You know, the test has been around since 2000, 2001, I think it is.
Hmm.
Um, and I think maybe one time in all those years, the pass rate's been more than 50%.
Really?
Yeah. It's usually 43 to 47% pass, maybe 48% some years. So I
Mm,
think some people may think that the test is cake because it's open book. It's
hmm.
60 questions, all multiple choice, and you literally have 3 months, 4 months to study. And so I think there's a lot of people who have taken the exam who maybe open up the collective bargaining agreement, which is where the majority of the questions come directly from,
Hmm.
um, 3 weeks before the exam, thinking that they can pass it. So, okay, that's just an assumption. It is a difficult exam. There's no doubt about it
Yeah,
because it's a lot of information that you need to absorb, but that's why they make it open book. Nobody expects you to memorize all the information. Even
right.
people like myself who worked there for 37 years, people like the PA's general counsel, Tom DePasso, has been there for 42, 43 years.
Yep.
We open up the collective bargaining agreement every day of the year that we're working there when we're talking to players or talking to agents, not because we don't know the answer, but we just want to make damn sure we're giving them the right information.
Right, and there's
Uh,
gray, like with the injury protection benefit,
Right.
that's
Yeah. The last thing you
definitely
want to do is give bad information to a player directly, certainly, or to his agent, and then
right.
he or she transfers the bad information to the client. So I think that's probably, I would assume, is a misconception amongst applicants that it's going to be, easy to get certified. Um, the other, what was the other part of the question? About
Well,
business
about
in
the exam
general?
and the agents just being agents afterwards. Like, is there anything
I,
that
I think a lot of people underestimate how much it costs to be in the business. I think a lot of people get in it because they think it's cool. It's cool to be able to go out with your buddies and have a beer and say, yeah, I'm an NFLPA agent. Well, you know what? It's a hard business. It's an ugly business.
Yep.
It's an upside down business when you look at it as a financial business model. You have agents paying players to represent them, which is just frankly ridiculous, but that's the business. Um,
Unless you're me, who didn't
unless
do that.
right, but it's probably why you're not an agent anymore.
Well, I know that's true. Well, I am, but not for players.
Right, not for players. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't mean to say you're not an agent, but for players
Yeah.
you're not.
Yeah.
Um, so um, so I think and one of the NFLPA has a rule called the 3-year rule, right?
Right.
And the 3-year rule affects different agents differently. The general intent of the 3-year rule was originally that players wanted agents in the business who were serious about the business and not just somebody who wants to hang a shingle on their office saying they're an NFLPA certified agent. There's plenty of agents who were victim to the 3-year who worked their ass off, just didn't weren't lucky enough to get a client or to get a client signed to an NFL contract. That's understood, but as a general rule, they put this 3-year rule in because the players wanted to ensure that they had people serious about being in the business. They wanted people active in the business. Does that mean they're the best people in the business? No. Just because you're certified and passed the test, you can still be a complete scumball, right?
Yeah.
So, um, so I think getting back to the question, I think I'm assuming there's a misconception about what it takes to really be a successful agent. It takes a lot of luck. There's no doubt about that. It takes timing, like being in the right place at the right time, but it also takes a lot of money, a lot of effort. You're basically like a doctor on call 24/7. And if you're not reachable by your client, you're going to get fired, right? Because most of the clients are very fickle,
Well,
very,
they're needy. They can be
very,
needy,
some are very needy
and some aren't.
and some aren't, but that's where the agent needs to understand who they are recruiting, right?
Right.
Are you going to recruit a player just to get a client and not worry about who this player is, what his values are, um, what his off the field situation is, um, or are you going to go out and try to pick clients you think are going to be obviously good players because that's where the money comes in. Obviously, the player makes more money, the agent makes more money. But also it's not going to be a big headache to you, right? Some agents just want clients. They don't care really who the player is. They don't care if the player's a nightmare. They just want clients. Other agents are a little bit more uh, selective, I guess, in who they
Yep.
recruit. Um, but that's the agent's choice of how he or she wants to run their business or the agency that the agent may work for, how they want to run their business. Um, so I think those are probably some of the um, biggest misconceptions, I would think.
Hi, Mark. This is Alex speaking. Thank you once again for joining us.
Yeah,
How has the role of agents and player representatives in general changed over the course of your career?
I don't think the roles really changed all that much, to be honest. I just think the business has changed, where The agents have to shell out money for training players before the
Right.
combine, before the pro day. They're giving them stipends. I mean, some agents are literally giving guys signing bonuses now. Now, this is all, I say this before the whole NIL thing came into to play. The NIL has just changed the landscape for a lot of things.
Right.
Agents are recruiting players in high school. They're signing players as freshmen in college for NIL purposes, hoping that that player uses that agent when that player decides to turn pro. Now, most of the time, it's turned out that way in the, since what, 2022, I think it is when NIL really
Yep.
started kicking in.
Yep.
So we've only had a couple classes of players that signed with an NIL agent in college and then went into the pros. Not all of them, though, have used the same agent, right? They had an NIL agent who was also well, I'll get back to that in a minute. They had an NIL agent who was also an NFLPA certified agent. But when it came time to turning pro and going into the draft, they picked a different agent to represent them contract wise. Now that obviously ruffles the feathers of the NIL, the certified NFLPA agent who was doing NIL for the player. And in fact, my business partner, Todd Flanagan, is an attorney who worked at the PA for 30 years, also the last 20 of which were as an attorney for the PA. He recently represented a player in a dispute against a certified agent who represented the player in NIL. But when the player went pro, he picked a different agent, and the certified agent who was his NIL agent filed a grievance against the player or sued the player. I can't remember if it was a private matter or went through NFLPA arbitration to get money back from money he gave him, the agent gave the player for NIL stuff, and the agent lost.
I'm sure that the agent did lose because
Yeah.
the whole thing is
He
it's a conflict. That's the whole problem with the industry right now.
yeah.
Or
So
that's what I see. Like, do you pick one or the other? Or you think pick both?
yeah, I mean
That's why I decided to kind of be careful until this all settled down.
yeah, but
Because
so
agents are getting sued, Mark.
yeah, that's changed the landscape to
Yeah,
get back to the question. But I think just the general practice of representing a player, and Jill, you probably know this better than I because I've never actually been an agent. Um, I don't think it's really changed all that much. I mean, you're still advocating for the player, you're still representing that player in negotiations. Just the money's bigger now. The money you're spending and the money you're making is bigger. Money the players are making is much larger. But I don't think the basic concepts of representing players, I don't think has changed.
well, I think what's changed is they now have money, okay, in their pocket. If
Right. Again,
good players have a lot of money. So
yeah,
this whole thing with the training, which I've fought against the whole entire time, right? I never thought it was a good idea because I thought they should train at their school and that they had better opportunities by staying in school, keeping their scholarships, but now they have money and they have a lot of money. So they
yeah.
shouldn't need the agent to pay for training.
Well, that's in theory. You're
So,
100%
so
right. But
okay, but
reality is I have money, I want more money. If an agent's still gonna, because of the competition in the business is so fierce
I
amongst
know, I
agents,
know. Yeah.
the competition is so fierce amongst agents, the agents are still paying for training, still paying stipends to players between January and April, from the time
Mhm,
that they leave college to the end of April to the time of the draft.
mhm.
Um, because they don't want to lose the player. You know, just picking out names. CA doesn't want to lose the top quarterback in the country to Athletes First, right? Drew Rosenhaus doesn't want to lose the top wide receiver to Joel Siegel. So they're going to pay whatever they need to pay to get that player.
Yeah,
Um,
and this whole
because players are making money NIL and from
rev share.
house settlement and the collectives, wherever it's coming from, that just means the price of poker is going up.
Oh,
You
so
would
you
think it
think
would be the other way around, but it's not.
interesting. I was hoping it was gonna like, swing my way.
I'm sorry to inform you, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, did you see that at the end last year? It was still the same. They were still, what about somebody who's, okay, representing them in the NIL space, and then they're still paying them in to sign them for the NFL space?
100%.
That is just crazy.
100%.
Okay. Jimmy,
Hi, Mark. My name is Jim
So
Gallardi.
I'm thinking, Jill, stick to coaches.
I love coaches and ADs, and I really like the women, by the way. Go ahead.
Hi again, Mark. My name is Jimmy
Go
Gallardi.
ahead.
Real quick, on behalf of our group, we really want to
I
say,
think we froze here.
uh,
Hold on. It's frozen on my end. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Hold on a second.
I can hear you. Keep talking, Mark.
All right, no, it's
wait,
back.
can you
Okay.
hear us,
Back. It
Mark?
froze for a minute there. I didn't hear the question if you asked me the question.
No, all good. So my name is Jim Gallardi, and on behalf of our group, we just want to say thank you for your time so far. Everything you said has been hugely educational for us, and we really appreciate it. As we're wrapping up, we just want to ask kind of one more major question, and that is, with someone who's been described as a guru in his field and revered by multiple media outlets in your time with NFLPA and the individual team council as well. What do you expect to be some challenges or maybe even goals of yourself as you've transitioned from NFLPA and union into now consulting and working for your own business?
Um, well, I wasn't planning on leaving the PA when I left. It kind of just came up very quickly. So I wasn't really prepared to not be working, I guess. So I'm still getting paid by the PA. So setting up the company for me was really to stay busy. We only have two clients right now. I'm not gonna lie. The business has been pretty slow. So that's surprised me a little bit. I thought we would have more clients.
More clients for the test or for what else are you doing?
No, to as consulting, as consultants. The test prep stuff is separate.
Okay.
All right. So we
What
just
kind of
started in May.
what's the consulting you're doing?
Well, both myself and Todd are doing exactly the same thing we did while we worked at the PA. We're just not working for the PA anymore. Like I'm still advising agents on contracts, answering
Okay.
CBA questions, giving
Okay.
them advice on cash flow, contract structure, salary cap implications, all that stuff. The same thing I was doing at the PA.
So you are consulting with agents. That's who you're
Yes,
consulting.
and players if they're well, the intent is to also help players if they're self-represented. Now we haven't had any player approach us yet to represent to help represent him. Not that we could represent him, we would have to just he's the agent the clubs in the NFL can only
That's
deal
what
with
I'm
certified
doing with
agents.
that's what I'm doing with two players right now, by the way. Interesting.
Right. So you can be the behind the scene advisor
Uh,
or behind the scene consultant. We haven't gotten to that point yet. So that's what we're doing. Then as another part of our business, we had the test prep stuff. Since
uh,
we got started late last year in the agent certification process, because we
uh,
didn't get started until May and the test was in July, we had 16 people sign up for our classes last year. This year, we've expanded what we're doing in terms of number of hours, but we've also raised the price.
uh-huh.
But we also have today literally was the first day you could apply for certification with the
Yes, yes.
NFLPA. Today the window opened. Um, and so from basically September till now, we've been trying to drum up business for our classes that we're going to have in June. And we've got, like 40 people that said they're going to sign up with us. Now, that's when they say they're going to do. Let's see what really happens when push comes to shove and we send them an invoice.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
sometimes that's two completely different worlds. So I would certainly hope that we're going to get at least 30 or so people to that will train prior to them going into the NFLPA seminar and prior to them going to take the test in mid-July. Todd, like I said, Todd, as a lawyer, he's representing players, he's representing agents. Like there's been a couple agent versus agent disputes. He's represented one side on. There's
Ah,
been a couple agents that filed grievances against players. He's represented the player.
got it.
So he's playing both sides of the plate here. And then also the last couple of weeks we've been able to we've gotten some referrals from some agents to assist retired players in filing disability claims
Oh,
for line of duty disability for
right.
total and permanent disability with the helping them retrieve their medical records. You know, we all do
What are
that.
you charging for that? I have somebody right now that needs to do that.
We charge our hourly rate is $300 an hour.
Okay.
Pretty
Okay, well,
reasonable.
I have a coach that played in the NFL that has some severe stuff going on. And I keep telling him he needs to, because California, they have the whole workers' comp thing, but also
Yep.
I don't know if he could get line of duty, but he could get the
Have him uh
I'll have him call Todd
have
or
him
you.
call Todd. Do you have Todd's phone number?
I do, or I'll have him call you. Because
Yeah, have him call
I've
me and
been
I can put
really
him in
pressuring
touch.
him to do that.
Yeah,
That's
put him in touch with Todd. If you don't have Todd's number, put him in touch with me.
okay. All right.
But so you know, I was expecting I'd be a little bit more busy than I am, to be honest with you. Hopefully that changes, but at the same time, I'm in a position to be fortunate enough that I don't need this business to work for me financially.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to say I'm doing it for fun. That makes it seem like I'm not taking it seriously. I take it very seriously, but I'm not dependent upon this to help me feed my kids and my dog, more importantly.
Yeah. How old are your kids? Are your kids
22 and 20.
so they're off the dole, right, Mark?
They're what?
Off the dole, that's what I say. Or are they still in college? Not
Not
exactly.
yet. Only
I
22
guess
and
not.
20.
What?
They're only 22 and 20.
They're
They're not
not off the dole.
they're
Okay.
not
Just
off the
check.
payroll yet. I got
Yeah.
one that's a sophomore in college and one that's a first year grad student.
Got it. Well, then they're still
Yeah,
Yeah, I got it.
they're not gainfully employed yet, nor do I expect them to be. Not yet. Not yet. But once they are,
Yeah. I know.
that's what trust me, that's
Okay.
what every parent says, and the kid ends up staying at home till they're 27 or 28
Yeah,
anyway.
that's not the goal. That's not the goal. Okay, so do you guys have any more? Do you have anything else you want to say?
I mean, I got more time if you guys have more time. I don't.
Well,
Is Marlon here yet, guys?
He said 6:10.
Okay, and Marlon's always late. Marlon Moore's coming.
well, Mark, we'll ask like one final question. We'll have it be quick. With speaking to a room full of attorney or prospective attorneys that are interested in the sports world, if you could summarize maybe in a sentence or two about what it would be best for us to get into this field, or what we should do to take steps to get into agency or NFLPA eventually. What would be your recommendation there?
Yeah. Well, well, you're already doing my first recommendation, and that would be go to law school. All right.
Yes.
So I think having that law school background or that legal education can help you in a whole number of areas, not just in sports business, but in the world, period. You know, I get in front of classes a lot and I've been interviewed a lot. And I always say, like, my one do-over in life would be I would have gone to law school had I known coming out of college, I'd be doing what I'm doing or end up doing what I did. Right. But I was already out of school for like 8 years before I started working with agents on contracts. And there
Mm.
wasn't a chance in hell I was going back to school after being out for 8 years. So, go to law school. Absolutely. Just, I don't think this advice is any different than any that I would give anywhere else. Find what you're passionate for. Are you passionate for the player side? Are you passionate for the team side? Are you passionate for being on the college level, being an AD or, in fundraising or development or, like again, that you have this whole NIL world now that's opened up that I don't want to say completely, but I'm 75% naive to, right? Um,
It's I could tell you a lot of horror stories that's going on.
yeah.
It's not good.
But I think if you decide to go into the agent business, and again, I can only really speak for football, but I'm assuming recruiting players is recruiting players and whatever sport you're in, just understand what you're getting into, right? Do the research, do the due diligence, understand the financial cost, right? And if you're able to do it, fantastic. Like there's always room for good people in business. In whatever business you're in, there's always room for good people. And be that good person. Don't cut corners. Play it by the book. Are you going to lose clients if you play by the book? Yeah, you will. Right? There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
Um, because a lot of players just want to go for the flash, go for who's offering them the most money. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. You're not breaking any rules anymore. But players are being or putting themselves in a position where they're choosing their agent based on the wrong reasons. They're choosing their agent, a lot of them, not all of them. I'm generalizing quite a bit here, folks. A lot of players are choosing their agent based on who's giving them the most money instead of figuring out, hey, is this man, is this woman a good business person? Are they ethical? Do they hold the same values that I hold? Are they trustworthy? Do I think they're going to work their ass off for me? That's what they should be making their decision on. And some do, but a lot don't. And knowing that if you want to get into the agent business, the representation business, um, again, just understand what you're getting into. It'd be like, if you left college and opened up a restaurant, you're not going to go open up a restaurant not having any idea what the restaurant business is all about. You will fail in a year or two. The same thing, right? And also, I'm going to circle back to the 3-year rule. The PA
Yeah.
gives you 3 years to get your first client. Now, that might seem like a long time, but it's really not. When
It's
you're a
not,
brand new agent
but
coming
be
into a
clear.
field with 1,050, there's literally 1,057 certified agents right now. Okay. There's probably going to be another 130 or so added this year, in October of 2026. So and that's I said before, competition's fierce, and that's why there's a lot of agents and there's not a hell of a lot of players. At least not a heck of a lot of players who have a reasonable chance of making money in the NFL at the NFL level. Um, so just go in there with eyes wide open. It would be my number one advice.
Explain the 3-year rule to them because you have to get
Well,
a
you have to negotiate a player contract once every 3-year period,
right
and if you
with the
don't,
team. With the
with the
team.
team,
You
yeah,
can't
the player
just
doesn't have to make the team. You have to be the agent of
right,
record on his negotiated contract with that club.
right.
Okay, with one of the 32 clubs. So, and if you don't, the PA bounces you, and if you want to stay in the business, you have to reapply, you have to retest, and go through the whole rigmarole again. So people do it. There's been people that have been certified like 3 different times for some ungodly reason. Um, it's not a pretty business. And the recruiting of the clients is the hardest part of the job. Negotiating the client, negotiating the contract and representing that player once you have him as a client, that's mostly the easy part. The
But
hard part is getting the client
yep.
and keeping
Yeah.
them happy,
And
you
keep
know?
it. Yeah, it's true. And when they get
Now,
cut, they usually blame the agent. That's what I
oh,
found.
100%, 100%.
Somehow you can
Back when
play
I was
smart.
working at the PA, we would literally get 6 or 7 termination letters in from various players across the country to their agent. And I would say 90% of the time, the player's pissed off. He's frustrated because he's unemployed. And
Yes.
instead of being able to, I don't know how you put it, look himself in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm a damn good athlete, but maybe I'm just not good enough to make it in the NFL. He says, I should be on an NFL team, and the reason I'm not is because my agent's not working hard for me. And then they fire the agent.
Yep.
Where 90% of the time, even higher, 99% of the time, agent has no control over whether or not this player is on an NFL roster or not.
True.
That's why teams spend millions and millions of dollars on scouts. They're the ones that determine who makes the team, not the agent.
Yep.
The
And
agent's
every
just
time,
there. The agent's just there to facilitate the process.
Right.
You
And
know,
every time I tell a player this, they often don't believe it. They think,
right? Because
oh,
it's not what they want to hear.
I know.
It's not what they want to
They
hear.
want to be lied to. It's so hard. Yeah.
They want to be told they're wonderful, like they have been pretty much their whole life up to this point. But now the funnel of talent is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. Everybody's a great player.
Yep.
You
True.
know, even the 53rd man on the roster, a guy that's barely on the bubble, was a freaking stud in high school, a stud in college, and has been told that his entire life. And
Yes.
now he's on the bubble of earning a paycheck, or he's earning a paycheck one week, maybe the next week he's not, and the following week maybe he is again. And they get naturally, understandably, they get frustrated, and then they blame their agent. And
Yes.
you're going to get fired. If you get into this business, you are going to get fired. An agent who says they've never been fired is lying right to your face.
Yes, that's true.
They're
I
just
told them
lying.
when I started the class, this is about getting hired and fired, and that's really that's what happens to my
Yeah.
clients. And I didn't mention maybe that's also going to happen to you, but but it's
And you really, if you get a client coming out of college, you're hoping that he gets a second contract.
yes,
That's where the real money is for the agent. And really, that's where the real work comes in for the agent too,
yes,
in terms of the negotiation.
yeah, because the first
Um,
contract's pretty simple.
yeah, first contract with the rookie salary scale. They don't like to call it a wage scale, but more or less it's a wage scale.
Yeah,
It makes negotiating the contract generally very simple, depending on what
yeah,
round the player's in. It's that next contract. If you're fortunate enough to get a client that gets drafted, or even if he doesn't get drafted, gets signed as an undrafted rookie, makes the roster, and gets that second contract, that's where you get your payback and the financial benefit. But that means you're trying to keep that guy as a client, cultivate that relationship for 4 years, sometimes three. And that's
yeah.
hard. That's hard in this business.
You got to be on the phone a lot, talking to them. That's what you do. So, do you guys
Well,
have?
I hope I've discouraged everybody from wanting to become an agent.
I think I've done kind of said this is not easy and that you're working 7 days a week, because something could happen, especially certain times of the year, like the end of August. But do you guys have any more questions?
That's it from us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
It's been
Mark.
great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
All
Mark.
right.
I'll be
Good luck.
calling you.
Good luck to everybody. Jill, you can call me again anytime.
Well, I'm going to call you about that one coach.
Okay.
Okay, because
See you guys later. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you guys for doing that. All right, thanks. Thanks for listening to Born to be a Sports Agent, where we discuss relevant legal issues, contract issues, and discuss representation for everyone in sports. This is Jill McBride Baxter, and my core values are protection, advocacy, and trust. If you are looking for representation and you need someone to take you where you can't take yourself, please go to my website at jillmcbridebaxter.com or email me at jillbaxter@me.com and set up a meeting for a free consultation. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic week. And good luck in sports.